How to remove and reinstall the front exhaust on an Audi A4 1.8T Quattro. You have to remove the catalytic converter with it because removing these fasteners is impossible. At this point, the airbox has been removed and we'll start from there. With the airbox out of the way, we can remove 3 nuts that connect the front exhaust to the exhaust manifold. Socket size, 17 millimeters. All 3 nuts accessible from up here. Move the coolant reservoir out of the way. There should just be 1 bolt holding it in place. At this back wall, you'll see a few connectors. You want to disconnect the brown one. This one's for the downstream oxygen sensor. Gently pull back on their tabs until you hear a click to disconnect. The black connector is for the upstream oxygen sensor. And the black connector sits on a plastic bracket, so be careful because it can easily be broken. The upstream sensor's cable is zip tied with other cables. You'll need to cut that zip tie. Also, remove it from this bracket. If you need to remove the oxygen sensor, use OEM tools 25249 to easily loosen it up. Of course, this one's already been pre-loosened. At the bottom of the vehicle, separate the exhaust from this bracket. Hold the bolt with a 13 millimeter wrench and remove the nut with a 13 millimeter socket. Separate the front exhaust from the rear exhaust by loosening up these nuts with the 17 millimeter socket. With those fasteners loose, the exhaust pipes can be separated. One note when you remove the exhaust, this portion of the exhaust can bend, but you do not want to bend it more than 10 degrees, all right? Do not let it bend more than 10 degrees. Now we separate the front flange. We're gonna feed the oxygen sensor wire to the bottom of the vehicle, and we're gonna remove the exhaust from the bottom of the vehicle. Moving on to the fun part, removing the front exhaust with the catalytic converter still connected to it. Pull your O2 sensor cable towards you, protect it, and we can't push it forward. We can't remove this from the top, from the engine bay, because this bracket is gonna make it impossible. So we're gonna have to remove it from below. I wouldn't do this job without a lift. Here we have a 19-inch lift, and that should be plenty. At the top, there's this triangle shape space that the downstream O2 sensor can clear. Easy as that. Now when you have gotten this far, the flange is gonna start hitting the subframe, which is gonna prevent you from getting this out. At this point, rotate the whole assembly clockwise, and now you can remove it. Now you can clear the subframe. Bam! Easy as that. Now to put it back on, make sure the O2 sensor is at about 3 o'clock, and that's gonna allow you to clear the subframe. Once you clear the subframe, line up the oxygen sensor with this triangle shaped space at the top, and then just push. Push while twisting a little bit to the left. Protect that O2 sensor connector and cable, and now we're back here. Did it all in one take. This job's not that bad once you know the secrets. We got the front exhaust and rear exhaust loosely connected. At the front, snug up the 3 nuts for now. Line up this bracket coming from the transmission. Just like that. We're gonna torque this nut to 25 Newton meters. Hold with a 13, torque to 25 Newton meters. At the front to rear exhaust, we can see that we're still not fully connected in. The rear exhaust can still move back and forth. And it looks like right there we're good. Torque these to 40 Newton meters. Torque the oxygen sensor to 55 Newton meters, which is about 40.6 foot-pounds. And torque the front flange nuts to 40 Newton meters, which is about 29.5 foot-pounds. We're gonna route the oxygen sensor wires through the back of the engine to the other side to their respective connectors. Don't forget that this one sits on this bracket like that. And from here, get your coolant reservoir and the air box back into position. And that wraps up this front exhaust removal and reinstall. I hope you learned something. Have a good day.